one thing is, of course, we need great content in the cinemas, but at the same time, there are many, especially the older audience, that in many countries are the ones who go a lot, are the regulars to go to the cinemas. And I don't know how to do that. I was thinking in a very basic way to have some kind of advertisements around in newspapers, on TV, or whatsoever, which is something that all in the value chain need to work together with.
There was a word or a phrase up on Mira's slides about the uncertainty of audience preferences post-pandemic. And I wonder, Jaime, can I just stay with you to ask about, you want to see things booming more than they were in 2019. Any ideas, some ways, how to get that audience back into the cinema, and maybe new audience too?
Well, audiences have the basic thing that attracts audiences is powerful content. What we need is good films. But that was the same thing that we needed back in 2019. So, but to have all those movies available, we need that the full value chain works in that sense, that they are produced, that they are distributed, and they reach the audiences. But as long as we get that powerful content, people will come back. There's been a lot of studies and researches done throughout these past year, saying what type of audiences is returning to the cinema, what type of audience is not returning. Obviously, it is difficult to give an answer that fits all, because in different countries, circumstances have been different. No, obviously at the beginning of the pandemic, in some countries that had cinemas open, because in other European countries, cinemas were closed for large periods, which was not the case in Spain, that we reopened. Were on the elite post-COVID times we opened. Comedies were what people were looking for, but it's obvious you've been locked down for 3 months. What you want is to have fun, not to worry about other problems, no? But I wouldn't reach a conclusion and say, no, now it's comedies. No, you need all type of movies, and I think that the diversity, and maybe we should not elaborate on that because there's another panel coming up, but that's a key thing. But this is also an issue that we were discussing back in 2019. So this is very important, no?
Eduardo, how are you thinking about what audiences want to see and what they want to see on a big screen versus what they might want to see on SVOD? How have you noticed your audience change? Are you buying different things now?
Well, it's difficult to answer. If I will know, perhaps I won't be here. I will be in Hollywood with a big contract or something. No. Really, I don't know. I think that this pandemic and the way that people is consuming some content perhaps has left less room for some kind of genre in the cinemas. No, perhaps thrillers or action movies. I don't know. I'm not, except they are big events, can be tough to defend on the theater. Hopefully not. No? But I cannot have an only answer. I think if the film is good, as Jaime says, we can have a chance. No, but again, I think that when I talked before about the streaming and that both are important. I would like to reinforce one idea that what not say it's important to also to have the people in cinemas. The cinemas are performing well or trying to increase the level of attendance that we have now, because it's the only way to create a brand around the films. The films unfortunately, we have tried hard during the lockdown to create brands, investing money in premium video on demand films, and was not that cost effective. Unfortunately, video killed the radio star, and subscription killed the possibilities of transactional video on demand. And so the most cost-effective way, in fact, the European Audiovisual Observatory told us a couple of days ago that there is a correlation between what is performing better in video on demand is those films that are released on theaters. So even for that sustainability of business model, but also to create a brand around the European talent, we need to do our best to return to the people, to the cinemas. And again, it's nothing against the streamers. We have created our own subscription video on demand service. We have 2 at VOD fast channels dedicated to theatrical. So we are adapting to the new life and to new normality. But again, this is important, no? To maintain, and it's a key role not only cinemas for that. Also, independent distributors are essential to maintain that diversity that we look in Europe.
Susan, can you come in on that too?
Yes, I have a little kind of a different approach. Not that I totally agree with what you're saying, but at the same time, I think the first step we need to take is to make people dare to go to the cinemas again. So I think, one thing is, of course, we need great content in the cinemas, but at the same time, there are many, especially the older audience, that in many countries are the ones who go a lot, are the regulars to go to the cinemas. And I don't know how to do that. I was thinking in a very basic way to have some kind of advertisements around in newspapers, on TV, or whatsoever, which is something that all in the value chain need to work together with, also with an official stamp somehow by the government.
Sort of a safety message too.
Exactly. So having that, and then maybe also trying to, through social media and stuff like that, to remind people again of what it is to be in the cinema, of this kind of, that it's not just watching a movie there, but it's really the social event in it as well. So I think we have several steps. Of course, the films are really important, and I think we have those films on the European market, but it's a combination still as well of showing people it's actually secure to go. Let's face it, remembering myself taking public transport after the masks were gone, it takes some time before you actually feel secure in doing that. So I think it's really, something can be based on small statistics, but we can't wait for statistics in general. But I think that's one of the approaches to get minimum to the level where we were. That could be one of the things to do.
Jaime,
if you allow me to give a broader view on that. It is very common nowadays to say that elderly people don't go that often. That's actually, I'm not going to say it's not true, but let's give it a wider approach. What it actually happens is that regular cinema goers have returned to the cinemas, because going to the cinema was for them a something that they did usually every month, every week, every 2 months, and they have returned to the cinema. What we are missing is a large chunk of the population that did not go that often to the cinema.
So maybe they would go twice a year or something?
Yeah, that's right.
And they're not going at all?
And they are not going out, no, because they haven't recouped that habit to go to the cinema. But it's not that they are not willing to go there. And then I agree with Susan that there has to be campaigns. In Spain, we've run some of them, and also with the support of the government. But basically, the driver, let's not forget it, is a good movie. You have a good movie, and these audiences will come back. No? But again, as I said before, it's not the same circumstances in all cinemas, in all countries around Europe, but measures have not been removed totally, partially, and there's still a lot of confusion, but not for going to the cinema, but even for going any close
Going anywhere,
space,
yes,
yeah?
yes, a more clear messaging. But, you know, I also think we did see people come out for James Bond, for Spider-Man. How do we get them to come out for Triangle of Sadness, for Holy Spider, for, you know, not maybe those quite films yet, but how do we get them to come out for a great European film? Any ideas? I don't have the answer to this. Alexander,
we
how
need
do
the
we do
festivals back,
Okay.
and that's one important point. What we are doing here, what Cannes is doing, is just amazing, because it's the big fête du cinéma, and I think we
And
need
it's on the front page of
cinema-
every newspaper in the world.
we need cinema
Maybe
back
the dresses.
in
but,
the
yeah.
industry. I mean, you know, on the front pages, on television. We need the actors, the actresses, the directors, the writers. We need ourselves. It needs to be part of public of social life again. I think that's what it is. I mean, cinema was part of our life, and has to be part of our life. And if I say our, you know, a big part of the population's life. So I believe. I mean, I have the water here, so if we are here on a boat and the water is there, because what you don't see is that we have the screen here as well, so I look into the water all the time. But we are in the same boat, and if I say we, it's the producers, it's the sales companies, it's the distributors, the theaters, the audience, which means society, the media, but also the streamers. And if we lose the cinemas, and therefore I wanted to applaud you for what you said. I mean, we need the cinemas, are our main first target and the possibility to tell the stories and to reach an audience, not only in the cinemas itself, but also in the media. And festivals will play a very important role in the next 12 months, because here is the platform where stories can be seen, but also can be spread.